It is our time. Do a quick prayer before we start. Master Jesus, spiritual friends, here we are again together around this wonderful knowledge that the Medium's book brings to us. Allow us to capture, to absorb all those messages that Kardec organized for us, allowing us to get better. Be with us through this study, giving us the perception we need to solve our questions and to raise new doubts. Be with us today and always. So be it.
So be it.
Let me share the book. Yes. Expand here a bit. Here. We'll start today on the item 55. We have already stated elsewhere that the spirit is a flame, a spark. This applies to the spirit per se as the intellectual moral principle, but we do not know how to assign a specific shape to it. We do not know. So he's not saying there isn't. He's saying that he do not know. However, no matter what its degree of evolution, it is always clothed with an envelope or perispirit, whose natural becomes more and more etherealized as it purifies and raises itself in the spirit hierarchy. So we see a lot of people saying, oh, when the spirit evolves, they don't have perispirit. It's very clear. Perispirit is always present in our spiritual life. Its shape and form is a different thing. And also clear that as the spirit evolves, it becomes lighter, etherealized, as Kardec says. Thus, the idea of form is for us so inseparable from the idea of spirit that we cannot conceive of one without the other. So there's no doubt that spirit always have a perispirit. The perispirit, therefore, comprises an integral component of the spirit, just as the body comprises an integral part of a human being. However, the perispirit is not the spirit, just as the body by itself is not the human being, because the perispirit does not think. Rather, it is for the spirit what the body is for the individual, the agent or instrument of activity. Just as a curiosity, did anyone try to do the research on the evolution to worlds about what we have discussed the last time? I'll take that as a no. Okay.
To be honest with you, I have read this book with my family before. I did not understand nearly anything, even in a group. So for me, it would be, you know what I mean, it'd be harder.
That's a very honest answer. Because the first time I read the book, I could understand good morning, goodbye. It is difficult. It is difficult. That's why when we want to learn something about a specific topic, sometimes we need to go to different means, different books, different information. And then after a period of time, when we start to build up our understanding, that book becomes easy. Okay. But yes, the information is there. So what I'm doing here is giving you, Patricia, the incentive to keep going. What you described is very normal, especially in this book. So now, keep going, find other sources of information, and when you come back to this book, because I'm sure now that you are very curious why you could not understand on the first time, you will. The form of the perispirit is the human form. And when it appears to us, it is usually in the same form by which we knew the spirit during its physical life. That's why we might believe that the perispirits, even when disconnected from the component of the body, must have somehow modeled itself after the body and retain its forms afterwards. Such does not appear to be the case, however, except for some differences in detail and the organic modification that are required for the environment in which the being must live. The human form is the same for all inhabitants on all globes, at least according to the spirits. And it is also the form of all discarnated spirits who only possess the perispirit. It is also the same form by which the angels or poor spirits have been represented down through the ages. Let me just stop here and make some comments before I get lost. Well, to make it clear, the blueprint of our physical body is our perispirit, not the other way around. Our perispirit is the origin of the format of our physical body. Both are interconnected. What I do to my physical body will reflect on the perispirit, but that is something that will come later, right? So they are interconnected. I also mentioned here that human beings from all globes have the same. If I'm going to Australia, they have a different shape like. They are not like me. If I'm going to Africa, they are a bit different. If I'm going to US, they are a bit different. If I'm going to Brazil, we are a little bit different too. So we should not expect to have everybody look like exactly like us, but the form, very similar. Therefore, we must conclude that human form is the typical form for all human beings, no matter what degree of hierarchy they belong to. However, the perispirit's subtle matter is not as persistent or inflexible as the body compact matter. We might say that it is flexible and expandable, and that is why the form is assumed. True, though, can an exactly copy of the body. Tough, although, I don't know, an exact copy of the body. It is not absolute. It is molded according to the will of the Spirit, who can give it any appearance it wants to, whereas the physical envelope confronts it with invisible resistance. If we read like that, we believe that any spirit can take any shape or form, right? But the practice tells us otherwise. I assume that spirits with a degree of knowledge on evolution, they are able to. But they need to know the minimum to be able to change themselves. Spirits, we discarnated, we arrive over there, chances are that we won't be able to do anything. We don't even know we are there yet, right? So there are different degrees of what we can do. Hi, Liz.
Hi, everybody. Regarding this perispirit, it says it's flexible and expandable, and obviously it can adapt to the exact copy of the body, whatever that body is in whichever incarnation. But is there actually an original? Like we can adapt and be anything in any incarnation, but is there an actual original, which is our spirit? Because we have a basic makeup, don't we?
If I understood what you're saying, Liz, the origin is the spirit, right? As the spirit evolves, it may have different bodies. The beginning is with the spirit. The perispirit comes after the spirit is existing. So not the other way around. So you said about different reincarnations. We are molding our physical body for the future incarnations. So that means that somehow on the spiritual world, we are molding our perispirit before we incarnated to that next incarnation. That is a bit of logic, and not many people agrees with that. But if my perispirit is my blueprint, it means that before I incarnated, my perispirit had to be adjusted so it could be used as a blueprint for this particular incarnation. There are processes that we don't know all the details. We do have some inputs from Andrea Luiz. We do have inputs saying that there are genetic modifications, there are labs where things happen. So we don't know how is this process. But logic tells us that if this incarnation, like Guilherme, and the previous one, I was like someone else, I was someone else, right? So my perispirit had to be adapted when I was someone else, so I could assume that format, that shape. When I returned to the spiritual world, I've returned as my last incarnation, but before I reincarnated, I had to be molded to what I am today. And this molding is a process. It's not just the perispirit, because how we looks like is not just the perispirit. It's the perispirit, it's the genetics, it's a whole process that coming together to be what we are. So we know very little about the process. This is something that eventually in the future may come, but that's the way I see it, at least.
I think that, when we were created, we have our basic spirit, from creation, and that follows us through everything. And that's why I asked, when we were created, that's our original spirit. We adopt the perispirit. It molds to every single, genetic or environmental or incarnation or whatever. But we still must have that original spark that evolves, which is the purpose of all the reincarnations, etc. So the perispirit obviously grows as we evolve, but it still has to go right back to the original spark, doesn't it?
The spark is only one. I'm calling a spark the spirit. The spirit is only one.
Yeah.
It may evolve, it may adapt, it may grow, but the spirit is only one. And the perispirit has to be adapted per environment, per reincarnation, per planet, things like that, right? Mm-hmm. And then I love that, Munir, because you need to go through Genesis to understand a bit about per planet, right? So, yeah. So, Munir, before I go, there's another thing I would like to mention here. Is about being flexible, expendable. My son would say that I am flexible and I'm expendable. I'm flexible because I'm not that fan of doing gym, and I'm expendable because when I eat, I expand. So we need to also take to account what they mean with expendable, what they mean with flexible. It's not a magic thing. I want to be a home. I'll be in the shape of a home. I don't think it's like that, right? But some people do believe it's possible to be like that.
Expandable is when we expand consciously our own energy field, and the perispirit may be expanding with that as well.
That is a possibility, but I don't think it's on that sense people assume the perispirit is flexible. What I heard many times, people think the perispirit can take any shape or form as the spirit thinks. And I don't share that opinion. I may be wrong, but I don't share that opinion.
I was only putting it hypothetically. I don't know either.
Exactly. We don't know. We don't know. Hi, Munir.
Hi, Guilherme. Good morning, everyone. Just following what Liz said, I think we, an original form for the perispirit. I think we can't say we go back to an original form for the perispirit. What I see, the perispirit as being this mist around, I don't know, a source of a field. You see, let's say a source of a magnetic field, and you put material that reacts to this magnetic field around it. And of course, according to the state of this field, the material will have some qualities, right? So in each incarnation, as Guilherme said, we are subject to the genetic material of our body. And that's why the perispirit is flexible. The perispirit, of course, we go through the process of being born again in a physical body, the process of development. That will help shape the perispirit with the features that we have today. But when we return to spirit, we no longer have the body shaping it. We keep the shape because we have an identity with our last incarnation, but perhaps our previous incarnation has a stronger impact in us than the last one, the one before that. So we naturally tend to assume features of that particular incarnation. If we remember, if we identify ourselves, you see, is a question. How do you perceive yourself before going and looking into the mirror? You see, oh, I thought it was slimmer. Oh, I thought it. This is more or less how we shape our perispirit according to our states, right? And it doesn't mean it is exactly how we were when we died. We know that spirits sometimes they show themselves to people. They say, oh, they looked younger, they looked this and they looked that. Why? Because there was a special moment during the incarnation where they identify themselves most. So they keep some of their features.
People recognize them, but once we're out of the body, we can choose whatever shape or whatever form we wish, can't we?
In principle, yes. It's the same thing saying, can a human body stays underwater for 10 minutes and without breathing? Yeah, it is possible. Can we do it now at this moment? No. I think I can. I haven't been training for that. But we know that, some divers can stay, several minutes underwater without problems. So it is possible. Yeah, we can. But not everyone can do because you need preparation. They say, yes, the perispirit can assume forms and so on. Yeah, it is possible. But as Guilherme said, it's not, no, now I will look like a pear, and my perispirit will shape like a, in principle, we can. And we know cases that the spirit is in such a degree that it degenerated perispirits and transforms it into certain shapes, right? But these are special conditions. Not that now I want to assume any shape. I want to look like Guilherme, for instance, and boom, like a magic process, I start to look exactly like him. No, it's the same, similar to the case of the diver who can stay underwater for, several minutes. It is possible for the human body to do that, but can everyone do that? No. See, you need to train, to prepare, yeah?
Thank you.
I think 30 years or about 30 years, I have heard about the same discussion. It's not easy. I think Guilherme is right, Munir is right. You also is right, Liz. This very, very difficult to, and I would like, with the goal, we, somebody, Guilherme or Munir, talk about aura. This aura is a very spirit that shows a state, moral state of the individual or the spirit, or the spirit that show at the end and kind of expansion, expanding. And I would like, because this is also for me, it's not easy understood sometimes. Thank you.
Munir, would you like to answer?
So, what was the question, Elsie? What's the point of doubt? Let's see if we can.
A moral state.
Oh, yes, of course.
Exactly. Yes, thank you.
Not exactly aura, because the aura is a process actually of energies. You know, it's like a metabolism of energy and so on. But the perispirit itself is, we know, as it's been said, that the material, you know, the density, let's say like that, of the fluids around the spirit that compose the perispirit, they are in accordance to the moral level of the spirit. You know, the higher this moral level, the more refined is the material that compose these perispirits. So naturally, that will change and will show itself when we see the spirit. They say that, spirits who are more evolved, they have a natural light. Where's this light coming from? You see, it's actually a result of the type of fluids they have around themselves, and it's a result of their moral evolution. So, and we shouldn't forget also that we draw the raw material for our perispirit from the world that we are, right? Here on Earth, we have a variety of fluids in terms of density, of purity, right? They go from lower A to higher B, whatever. And from this, according to our condition, let's say we naturally draw them and compose our perispirit. If we go to another planet, we'll do, from what is available. If it's a primitive planet and we are already in a better condition, we will draw the higher level possible fluids there, right? And but yes, of course, what is the quality, let's say like that, of the fluids that compose our perispirit? It depends on our moral state, what we can aggregate around ourselves.
It's another question, if I can, about, thank you, Munir, because it's very nice. I must read it. I know I must read again Genesis, I think the 14 chapter, I think, if I remember. There we have a mass of example too. I would like to know about disease, doenças. If our aura shows that too, because maybe some diseases we by self is the reason to that than disease. Show too there our aura, when we spend it with aura, when it happens at the people, maybe one medium, very good medium, see aura for people. And I would like to know that, because there's another some hours I think here, but I never asked it to somebody. So I would like to thank you.
Guilherme, allow me to say, my perception is, first, one thing is, of course, the perispirit itself. We need to understand very well the properties of the perispirit, then to understand when the perispirit, when we are incarnated in a physical body, the processes that take place under that condition. As I said before, the aura that you're talking about, that also can be altered according to our health, is the result of metabolism of the energy, and it is, a process of a perispirit in a physical body, incarnated in a physical body. But now to understand what diseases, the impact that diseases have, or the imbalance in the perispirit that will, or even in the physical body that will promote disease, is a different subject now. And, we would need to, study, this subject in particular. Okay, so it's very difficult to tell, yes, if this, there is a dark spot here, it means this and that. Well, I have no condition to do that, but I know that aura is the result of a metabolism of energy in the case of us incarnate spirits. See?
Let me read here. Well, I'll translate. Every body existing in the universe, without exception, irradiate an atmosphere, a fluidic atmosphere around its own individuality. It characterized by a rich variety of colors that can move and change with intensity. It is constituted of the irradiation of many layers of the spiritual body, or psychosoma, or perispirit. Known by the name of aura, those irradiations are the mark or the stamp of the spirit. That's why it's impossible to hide your feelings, your qualities, because it is expressed in the variety of the layers of your aura, and it can be perceived by elevated spirits. They are also able to be perceived by the sensibility of some mediums. The aura is also a natural reflex of the spirit conscience. I'm not reading everything, I'm just doing the main parts. So I'll stop here because it's very interesting, but I'll stop this. Regarding diseases,
Thank you.
bringing the practice into the equation, some mediums can perceive a difference in the human aura. How does that work? I'm looking to MUNIR. I perceive MUNIR shining bright. Oh, good. MUNIR is good to go. And then I will see someone else that I will perceive. I'm not saying that I do. I'm just using as an example. I will perceive someone with a dark color around the kidneys, for example. The medium will not be able to tell what is going on. The medium is able to see there is a difference in the pattern on the area of your aura. And we all know that the origin of the disease is coming from the spirit. So why I'm saying that? Because they open up a massive universe. So there is no one that I can say yes, is this or is that? No. The spirits, they can see through. Then it's another thing, but we are not there yet. Hi, Liz.
Yeah, talking on a slightly different direction when you're talking about the cosmos and the universe. I'm interested in finding out about external influences on the growth of the body and the perispirit, because it's really interesting what they're discovering now and theorizing about the three-eye atlas. And when we go into the trajectory of that path, because they've actually found all the organic magnetite and EMF and everything that is on three-eye atlas, which seeds life. They've just recently found that. So when we go through that path, it's like viruses coming in from space and everything can, be formative, can be beneficial. When we kind of cross that path where that comet or whatever it is has been, that can also have an influence on the external perispirit in a beneficial way.
Everything, everything is intermeshing.
Yeah.
The moon, when it comes closer to Earth, react in our vegetables, in our seas, in our physical body. When it goes a little bit further, reacts in a different way. The sun, the wind, everything. We are interconnected more than we think. And we are interconnected not only here next door, we are interconnected in the micro and the micro version of the universe.
Yeah.
So, disentangled from the obstacle that had pressed it, the perispirit expands, contracts, or transforms itself, in other words. It lends itself to all sorts of metamorphoses according to the will that acts upon it. It is thanks to this property of its fluidic envelope that the spirit can make itself recognizable when necessary by taking the exact appearance that it had during its physical life, and even display the very same physical defects that could serve as a sign to recognize it. See? But under certain circumstances. I don't know how to make a cake. If I try to make a cake, I will burn the cake. I never trained to make a cake. I'm tasteless. I'll get products, I'll put it together, I will manage to do the cake, and nobody will eat my cake because it will taste awful. And that's true. So, not everyone can do everything. Not every spirit can do everything. There's no magic. There's no magic. Otherwise, a spirit that goes in a poor state to the spiritual world, he will change his mind. I don't want to be like a leper anymore. I want to be like a Hollywood star. And he would. And we know that does not happen like that. So, but people like to hear what they want to hear. When I die, I'll be able to change my body. I will be able to get younger. I will be able to change my face because I like to be more Nordic than African, or vice versa. You know what I mean? And it's not like that. And it's very possible as well that when I die, I'll keep my body because it's the only one I have, my perispirit in that shape. I will be with other people from previous incarnation, but I will not be able to change my body right now. I need to go through a learning process, to a period of adaptations. I may need to go through this metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is not straightforward. Maybe a slow process, may take longer. And if you go to the Evolution to Worlds, when it talks about metamorphosis, you see that even when we die, the chemical reactions of our physical body interferes or assist the formation of our perispirit, the liberation of our perispirit, the new format of our perispirit, if you like. So there's a lot of process, but we don't like that. We like the funny part. We like the romantic part. When I die, I'll become younger. I'll be nicer. I'll have my long hairs that I used to have will come back, because I think I will, and then it will, I think we need to stop create a romance around everything and go more into the real possibilities, or at least around the theories that makes more sense to spirits that just arrived over there. I truly believe as you evolve, you have more qualities, you have more tools you can use to achieve different things. But me, when I arrive over there, very unlikely I would be able to change my face, and perhaps I would. I would like to, but I will not be able to. Hi, Munia.
Hi, Guilherme. Just to say that human beings can do so many things, but then when we ask who is ready to do all these things, very few. See?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, I want my perispirit to adapt. I want my perispirit to become younger. Have you studied perispirit when you were on Earth? No. Why not? It was too difficult. Okay, so you keep your face as it is. So, hence, spirits are being like us, comprising a population around us that is invisible and in its normal state. We say normal state because, as we shall see, this invisibility is not absolute, right? And we're talking about auras, perispirit. Perispirit is the vehicle that we will use to interact on the spiritual world. So perispirit for us here is something we cannot grab. But perispirit, when we are there, is what we use to lift, to move ourselves, you know? So we need to understand that we are not a balloon like a Casper the Ghost. We are not like that, you know? We are more real than we think. That's why so many spirits, when they go to the other side and they come to our mediumship meetings, they say, I'm not dead. I can see my body. How am I dead? I can do things. How am I dead? So I'll leave that to you guys to answer. So we go now to the item 57. Let us return to the perispirit. Oh my God. We cannot escape from that today, Munir. Let's return to the perispirit for now, since it is essential for the explanation we are about to give. We have stated that although the perispirit is fluidic, it is nevertheless comprised of a type of matter that makes tangible apparitions possible, a matter to which we shall also return later. Under the influence of certain mediums, we have seen hands appear that bear all the properties of living hands: warmth, tangibility, the resistance typical of a solid object, and the ability to hold onto onlookers, only to suddenly vanish like a shadow. The intelligent action of such a hand, which obviously obey a will in performing certain movements, even playing tunes or on a musical instrument, proves that they are visible component of an intelligent, invisible being. Now, I never saw, or at least I think I never saw one, but at Kardec's time, we used to have that more frequently, the materialization of spirits. What is that? It's a spirit that gets some additional fluid to make his own fluid dense. If he did not have a pre-organized format, he would get a fluid and would not be able to present anything tangible, as Kardec said. Will we see more frequently nowadays? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it did serve a purpose. During a moment in time in our evolution, there was a need to get attention, to get people paying attention, that there's something there. What is that? You know, even like that did not work very much, because until today we did not have a full comprehension, or we did not move from what I believe or what I don't believe. Because if you tell someone away from the spiritism that it's possible to a spirit to be materialized, they say we're crazy. So what's the
There's
point?
in Holland, a centre in Holland where they're still doing that, and they lock the doors and the people can actually visibly see spirits. So there is one place in Holland that I follow.
Yeah. But see spirit or see the materialization of spirits?
It's them showing the spirit in front of the people as a physical entity.
Okay, materialization. Okay, yeah. Can anybody be part of it? No. No. It's very risky for the medium to be part of those.
They lock the doors. Nobody's allowed to go out. Yeah.
the medium can die.
Yeah.
The medium can die.
It's
Depending
the
on the
body. Yeah.
depending on the participants of that group or that meeting, the results can be catastrophic. Catastrophic.
Can I just say, complementing what Lee said, this place was documented in that documentary about surviving death on Netflix, that series. So this place is, they filmed, part of what happened in this center in Holland. So it is there in the documentary.
I saw this documentary, but for example, in this documentary, you don't see no spirits. They never presented on the documentary any materialization. They never present any spirit. You see, it only happens only certain circumstances, and somebody that tried to do things like that without the proper protection, if I may use that word, the results may be unexpected. Who's hand? Hi, Osoli.
I see spirit. I thought sometimes, but I see sometimes. I have seen sometimes, but touch. But I feel the spirit touch me. Touch me, you there, yes, this happened. But I would say that I had two kinds of bit more, I don't know what I say, a vision. A spirit that is not so you see, it is an spirit because she's talk to you, have something to you, at say at another person, and I do like a pigeon, So I do that, but I did that. But at the spirit, this is one kind of spirit. You see the spirits in the air or so, and it says things. But I said spirit is so real in the street, in São Paulo, not Paulista Avenue, but another, Alameda Santos, and there they came in spirits. I was so glad. I was to my work in the morning, and I was always glad, so glad. And glad, say in English, lucky, I feel lucky. And I remember that spirit was very special because he was so real and smiling to me. He came, I go, and he said, he take you on a cartola, I don't know in English, a hat here, and said, good morning, Miss. Very good morning. I wish you have the best of all days today. Today. All days today. Okay. And thank you. Then I saw, Rhodes, it was in the century, in the beginning of the century, and very elegant, very clean, very elegant. And I said, oh God, wonderful. I said, thank you. And when I saw back me, he wasn't there, disappeared. And many years after, I asked him to when she had a very much more when I come to Sweden and understand it. So, and I told it to her, and she said, "Also, you describe it," and that was a very good image to Oswaldo Cruz. So it was so she showed me very unsuccessful. And I said, I think it was André Luiz. Nee, it was Oswaldo Cruz. And then she said, she showed me a photo of it. So, what? It's him. I read around it. So I saw this. It was so real. I never forgot. At the start, December in China too, I would study and works in the hospitals, you
Yeah.
know. And
What you are describing is a vision, right?
yes, this was a vision.
Yeah. And what we are talking about here is the possible materialization as well, just to make sure that everybody is understanding, okay? Hi, Ina.
Hello. Guilherme, I have a question. So you just mentioned that it could be quite dangerous for the medium to participate in the meetings where with spirit materializing. Could you explain why?
Yes.
Thank you.
What is the materialization of spirit? The materialization of spirit means that one medium of physical effect is donating his own fluid to allow the spirit to materialize. So it's an atomic process that you are transferring part of you to allow that particular spirit to get materialized. There are cases, as is the case of Peixotinho, that he was so strong, if I can say like that his physical body used to shrink to become something like half meter only, of a poor mass. His physical body was giving so much energy that was coming to a process of degeneration. So he was like a meter 70, 1.7 meters, and he comes for something like a half meter because he was donating so much energy.
That's
After
scary.
the materialization is over, the fluid returns and the medium recover his own standard configuration, if I may say like that. But if something happens in between, when the medium is donated that amount of energy, he or she will suffer. He or she will suffer. There was an incident on Madame d'Espérance, I think it was Crookes, who were doing research in a proper environment, closed of the thing, and then someone hold the spirit materialized. The medium, she felt the consequence, the point that those type of research had to stop, and the medium was ill for quite some time until she was able to recover her normal physical conditions. Right? There is one event when one spirit said they could take part of his clothes to research. So he allows that to happen. So when he allows that to happen, there was some preparation to allow that to happen. But if, for example, something happens and somebody decides to take something without having been properly approved by those benefactors, chances are that you're taking parts you don't want to take from the medium. So it's something serious. We need to be very careful if we be invited to go, if we do have this characteristic, and always ask yourself why. What is the purpose of doing this? It is financial. I would be very surprised that serious spirits would do that for financial reasons. Is this to my own promotion? It's not that far from financial things, you know. Are you doing that to help people like they did in Rio for many years in Jacarepaguá is Lar de Frei Luís? The spirits they used to materialize to treat people is different, you know. So we need always to be careful and ask what is the purpose behind what we are doing or what we want to do. Hi, did I answer your question, Ina?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Hi, Munir.
Hi, Guilherme. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But the fluids necessary for materialization, they are essential fluids for the medium. And the medium lends the fluid but needs it back because it can be replaced that easily. It's like blood, small amounts. Okay, we can go and then we can recover after a few days, fine. But if we give off too much, then it may be too depleted. And as Guilherme said, it may even result in death. And also, if we donate and get it back, it may be contaminated, as also Guilherme said, when that materialized spirit received these embrace, or even the thoughts, of those in the group may contaminate the fluid. So this essential fluid returning to the medium will take, some poisonous substances as well, and then leave the medium in bad health.
Indeed, yeah, you're right. And when I see a lot of people trying to do different things without going in depth to understand how the process works, it's a trending thing that a lot of people is doing it. Be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful, because sometimes there are some information you do not possess or you don't want to possess that may create harm to you or to others. And in this particular case, it's very serious. Materialization is very serious. I don't think I am capable of participating in such a thing because my thoughts are very not intuitive, but I like to ask questions. Oh, what is happening? How is happening? What, I'll be like that, and if it is something that will be positive, I think it will not create harm. But even like that, because I'm not concentrated enough, I'm not donating enough, I can create harm to the medium or to the mediums that are participating in such activities. Hi, Liz.
Hi. One of the dangers is when you are going through techniques to try to get out of the body voluntarily, consciously, or even when you're out in the body, say when they're actually doing that manifestation work with the ectoplasm and maybe somebody opens a door, puts a light on or something like that, as simple as that. The spirit can snap back into the body at such velocity that it can kill the body. But my query is, if somebody is just asleep normally and we disappear out of our bodies and go on our travels when we're asleep, and somebody touches them to wake them up, how come the same doesn't happen?
I never heard that the velocity of the return of the spirit or the perispirit to the physical body would create such a thing. I never heard that first time.
It's a shock.
What I know is that the amount of fluid returning in high speed can create harm. We're talking about fluids, we're talking about mass, we're talking about energy that can create harm. And you said about me going away from the body. I strongly recommend not to do. If we have to, our benefactors will take care of it. They will organize when we are ready, when is required, when we have the protection we need to do such a thing.
Only if we remember to ask them because of our free will.
Regardless of free will, I'm talking about when is required, they will do it. You don't need to be asking for something like that. You don't need, I'm going to travel, I'm going to this place, I'm going to the other planet. Do you know where you are? Are you sure you can come back alone? Are you sure that what you're going over there to do, I'm not saying the phenomena does not exist. I'm saying there are intrinsic risks of doing so. The
risk is that you don't know who's taking you and where they're taking you and what will happen. That's what I'm saying. Physically, you need to request the help with your benefactors because otherwise they're not breaking their free will if you haven't already asked for protection.
I think there's a lot of people that do not have sufficient knowledge trying to do such a practice. And doing so, you expose yourself and expose others, your loved ones, to something you don't know you are exposing. So on the Spiritism is what we do here. We have all the guidance of what to do, how to do, consequences, positive, negative, and if we do in a safe environment, we know we are doing according to the benefactors that are organizing and maintain a type of work. Doing outside that, it's your own risk. It's your own risk. Likewise, if I decide to do a mediumship meeting on the street because I want, it's your risk. It's your risk. The spirit that may come, you may not like after, not during the practice, but after, you may not like. You know.
Yeah.
So
I try to ask you something, but you know, after this, no function more my heart here, and I would like about, because it's the same. It's not the same question, but ectoplasm quality suffers some influence of morals, of medium's moral, as a duly it's not good moral, or ectoplasm is not depends, it's not depends of moral. I mean mediums that have
I'll come to that in a minute.
Too much ectoplasm.
Yeah, I'll come to that in a minute.
I just want to conclude that we've been advised not to voluntarily go out of the body. I've done all the training for it under, Waldo Vieira's side, and I have all the books. But luckily, I didn't do it because we were warned it's a jungle out there.
Yeah, I think it's a nice statement, and he's describing nicely. Hi, Liz. The other Liz.
Hi, guys. I think what Liz said about free will is a point that we must reflect a little bit as well, as much as we can, because yes, we are talking about things regarding mediumship and that our benefactors, as you said, Guilherme, if it's something is going to happen, it will happen if we need to go through that. And like in this state, the level that we are at the moment, we do not possess the free will 100%. We are learning how to use it slowly. We are binded by natural laws that supports the whole creation, supports everything. And those laws also put onto us and teach us how to use this free will. But regarding these mediumship events, these things that may happen to some of us, it is just like dealing with a child. You can't just because the child is motivated to do something and want to do something, if you know, because you know more about life, if you see in that situation the child going to something or wanting to do something or not doing something that is important to them, you are going to try to encourage it, the child to do what is best for the child so they can grow healthy. And I find ourselves in the same situation as the spirits. We are like those children, and the benefactors are like our parents and trying to guide us to the best, to follow the best way. And they will sometimes do it. I had like friends around me that had very life-changing experiences and life, and enlightening experiences that helped them. They didn't ask for that, but it helped them a lot to understand life, the situation, and also to learn from it. So that was just one point I wanted to comment. Thanks.
Good. Now, in the last few minutes, let me come back to the question. Our moral affects everything. Our moral affects our environment, affects our aura, affects the density of our perispirit. As a consequence, we also affect the quality of the ectoplasm. What we eat, what we drink, what we think affects the quality of ectoplasm. So ectoplasm is a fluid we donate. And if I am drunk, what do you expect me to give? If I just had, when you go to materialization meetings, you cannot have sex, you cannot drink alcohol, you cannot have red meat or no meat at all. You have to have your thoughts very positive. There's a lot of things you need to know, you need to do to have a proper and safe meeting on that aspect. And that's why I say most of us, we don't have the minimum capabilities to be part of it. All right? So yes, our moral affects everything.
Thank you, Guilherme.
If we like or not. That's why we need to do our best to always improve who we are. So it is our time. I'm very happy to see that Pablo is here. And he's desperate to take over and to do the prayer. Let me just stop sharing so we can see you all. Let me stop recording.